check-in session before you guys. Right on Saturday, we'll basically look at the last few questions of this paper. It again was the October-November 2019 paper that we're going through. So let us jump into this. This one is basically looking at linear programming with lots of information that they give us, and we will need to process that into the linear graphs. Later on, we will look at other equations also to do with linear equations and programming, but let's first get to this one. So they tell us a sharp razor company manufactures two types of electric shavers. One shaver is cordless and it requires 5 hours to manufacture. The other, yes, Carol.
Sorry, sir. Could you share your screen? I can't see it. I don't know if it's my end.
Okay, let me just do that again. It might just be that. Can you see it now?
No.
Oi. That's weird. So let me do something else on this side. And then let's see if it. Can you see it now?
No.
Oh, shucks. Let me quickly see if I log in on with my cell phone. I just want to see if I can see that. Okay, so if I log in with my other device, I can definitely see the screen.
Okay, so maybe let me log out and back in as well. Then.
Yes, and then let's just check if it works then.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. Sure. Was just worried.
Right.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we start with question 18. Okay, so basically linear programming, they tell us one shaver is cordless and it requires 5 hours to manufacture. The other shaver is electric cord and it takes 3 hours to manufacture. The company only has 16 hours. Then, okay, so let's look at that first. So, do they say let X be the cordless and let Y be the electric? So, I'm just first going to look at that. So, it takes 5 hours to manufacture X it takes 3 hours to manufacture Y, and you have up to 16 hours to manufacture it. Okay, so that would be your first formula. So let's just quickly see through all of them. 5x plus 3y, so that one can work. 5x plus 3y bigger than 16 can't work, so we can take out that whole one. 5x plus 3y smaller or equal to 300, no. 5x plus 3y smaller or equal to 16. Okay, so that one can also work. So then let's see. The dispatch department can pack and ship at most 300 shavers per day. So at most 300, there doesn't matter which shavers, as long as you have X and Y. So X plus Y will be smaller or equal to 300. Okay, so not that one. So that will be our answer. And just then, as always, we add the X and the Y will be bigger or equal to 0, because again, we can't manufacture a negative product, so you can't manufacture negative cord or electric cord shavers or negative cordless shavers. Okay, so that is why we will always have the X and Y bigger or equal to 0. You can produce 0, so that's not a issue. You can produce, say, 0x, and then there will be more of Y produced. And again, you are also allowed to manufacture 0 of Y, and then obviously more X will be produced. Okay, so again, I nearly wanted us to do it step by step. So that is the first step. That is the second step. And then if there was somewhere another formula, we will do that nearly the third step. And again, the reasons so that one can start eliminating some of the options. So yeah. Okay, cool. So that was linear programming. Then the other thing that they also love to ask is, they give you a set of inequalities. Then what they can do is two things. They can ask you, and I think let's quickly. So they can give you inequalities, and you need to pick the area that it will represent, or they give you inequalities with nearly a function of maximum value, and they nearly want you to say, okay, is point A, B, C, or D the point that will determine the maximum value? In this instance, they don't ask you the point, they ask you what will the maximum value be. So we will need to put that point A, B, C, or D into this equation and find out what the value will be. Okay, so let's do that. There's always some easy ones that we can do first. So we know that this point D is 60 for X and 0 for Y. And that would have been that formula. So we can put it in there and see what we will get. So 60 times 20 is 1,200, and then the other one will fall away. So there we have that value, but it might not be the maximum. We need the maximum value. So let's see the other points as well. It's interesting. I would just have gone with a maximum value, but it might not be one of the points. So let's just make sure. So this point A is 0 and 70, and Y, it is on that number 2. So your Y cutoff is 140 divided by 2. So that's where we get the 70. So it will be 70 times 30, which will be 2,100, and that would have been 0. So this would be 2,100. So already we now know that those two are not answers. The maximum value will be 2,100 unless one of those other points are the points that we need to look at. So if we need to look at point B is where, what is it? Formula 3 and formula 2 crosses. So 3 and 2. So we will just need to look at these two, and we will need to work out what the X and Y points are. But hopefully that will be not too bad. So to make this easier, we will subtract the second one from the first one. So X minus X will be 0. 2Y minus Y will be Y. 140 minus 80 will be 60. So we will have Y as 60. You can put in X over 60 into one of those formulas. So let's put 60 into the second formula. That's easier. So X plus 60 is equal to 80. So X is equal to 20. And now we can work out, so if that is 20 and 60, what the value of that one is. So it will be 20 times 20, which will be 400, plus 60 times 50, which will be 1,800. And if you add those two together, you get 2,200. Okay, which is then option 4. Okay, so this is a strange one. So I would have probably so nearly just be careful with a question like this. It might have been that one of these values cannot be calculated through one of those points. So if we work out point C, that will actually be 40 and 40. And that will give you a value of 2,000. So all of these points actually had a value, but it could have been that one of the values is 2,300. Let's say that was the fifth value. So then you need to still work out the points because the 2,300 was not valid. Okay, so it does not always mean that the biggest value in the answers is also the one that will maximize the value. So just be careful that they don't trick you by giving 3 or 4 numbers, and then the biggest number might not be the number that maximizes the function. Okay, so just be careful. In this instance, it did, but it might also be that it doesn't. So, just as a precautionary measure, don't always just think that the biggest number must be the one nearly that will. Okay, so the next one. So here we get 4 sets of possible graphical representations of the data set. So what I normally do is I will check the easiest ones first. So x must be bigger or equal to 0. So we know that in all of them, it should be in this quadrant 1. Okay, so it seems like all of them with that is fine. Then I see here's a nice one. So y smaller or equal to 4. So it needs to be smaller or equal to 4. So there is a bit, so that can happen. Smaller, okay, here is a bit, so that can happen. Smaller, yes, there is. Smaller, no, there isn't. So at least we have eliminated option 4. Okay, so let's now see if we can work with one of the others. So I'm going to work with formula 2 now. So minus x plus y is smaller or equal to 3. So that is y is smaller or equal to 3 plus x. Okay, so they told us that is line 2. That's going through there. Line 2, line 2, line 2. So with that, we know it must be smaller. Okay, so this one is still fine. Must be smaller. So this one can still be. Must be smaller. So that one we have eliminated as well. And then the last one is Formula 1. I left it to last because of the fraction, because I don't really want to work with a fraction, but let's first get rid of a fraction. So we multiply by 2 through, or let's just first take it to that side. So y is bigger or equal to 2 minus a half x. Okay, so which says bigger or equal to, so must be bigger than it. So this still all falls into it. Needs to be bigger. It doesn't. This shows it's smaller. So by elimination, nearly, we get that this one is the one we were looking for. Okay, so there's no real shortcut, if I can put it that way. It is much more nearly a process of elimination and hoping that one of them will make it just quicker to get to the final answer. Okay. Yeah, so basically we looked at giving your information so that you can write that inequalities, given you the inequalities so that you can work out with one of the 4 points what's the maximum value going to be. They can also ask you minimum. And then by giving you the inequalities, they nearly ask you to determine what the area will be that these inequalities cover. And that is definitely 3 questions that I've seen so many times in papers that you can get 2 of them, you can get all 3 of them. Yeah, it doesn't really, but they love to ask it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Now they're giving us a set of linear equations, and they want us to solve, we need to solve x, y, and z. Normally they ask us to say x is equal to 1, y is equal to 2, z is equal to 3, or something like that. But in this instance, they say to us the sum of the values is equal to one of these. Okay, so a bit different. And it's very difficult to nearly, if you need to guess, because one of these numbers can be negative. So it can be that you can sit with a -1 plus a 4 plus a -3 or something like that. So you can't really look at it and say, oh, well, the sum can't be 0 or that's too small, because it can actually happen. Okay, so let's see if there's a way that we can hopefully solve this in an easy way. Sure. Okay, so I know some of you guys can use some of the online tools sometimes, or some of your calculators can also do it. But if you can't, I'm going to show you a bit longer way to do that, but we still get the answer. So I've just rewritten there's the first one. So the second formula, I'm just going to multiply by 2. So what we get is minus 4x plus 10y plus 2z equal to 8. And then we're going to basically say 1 minus 2. So we say equation 1 minus equation 2. So that minus, or sorry, plus. That is already minus. So 4x plus minus 4 is 0. Y plus 11 or 10y is 11y. 3z plus 2z is 5z. And 8 plus 8 is 16. Okay, so that now is a new formula for us, formula 4. Okay, and let's just check if there's something we can do with the second one. I also probably want to get rid of a X or something like that. So, yeah, not really anything nice. So what I would probably have done is multiply formula 2 by 3, multiply formula 3 by 2. Yeah, so if you have other means of calculating this that is legal, please use it. Because this is quite a long method. We will get right answer, but it is quite a long. Again, if we now add those two, the x's will disappear. We will get 19y plus 11z is equal to 36. That can now be formula 5. Yeah, so now again, we sit with formula 5, that is 19y plus 11z equal to 36. So that's two formulas that's left now. Okay, multiply. There must be a shorter way. Multiply by 5, multiply by 11. So we sit with 95y plus 55z. I will just check later on if it is really not different way. Gives you 180. Then times 11, so 11 times 11 is 121. Y plus 55z equal to 16 times 11, which is 176. So if we say that minus, like I say, I'm not getting, let's just quickly check if I made a silly mistake somewhere. Five y, so that was 10, 8, 8. That disappeared. Plus that is 11, is 5, that is 16. 3, 15, 3. Okay, that was 12, not 18. 6 was right, 4 was right, 8 was right, 18 was right. So, okay, so something, it should have just been 12. Can that really make such a big difference? Let's quickly check. So we set now that plus that, that plus that, that plus that gives us 30. So instead of 36, it should be 50. 50 times 5 is 150. Just want to check. Okay, so let's just get the right ones. Okay, this is really a long process. So please, if you, so that will be 150. This was 11 times 16. Let me just get 176 again. Okay, so 26y will be equal to, okay, 26. So y will be equal to 1. If I put y back into, sorry, this one, I get that z is also equal to 1, because that will be 19. We'll take that over to that side, so 11z will be equal to 11, so z will be equal to 1. Then if I put it back in here, it would have been 1 and 3, which will be 4. So if I take it over, x will also be equal to 1. Okay, so it took me ages to get to this point, and then it was nearly easy to get the rest. So the sum of those 3 is 3, which is equal to option 3. I'm not sure if you guys are allowed to use online calculators. So if you are, let me quickly see if I can get you a nice. Always a very nice, I put it in the chat, is this website, Wolfram Alpha. So always a very nice website to check for certain things. So here you probably could have put in the equation. So let's see if we have done that, what the answer would be. I'm just going to take it to my other screen so that I can type. Before I press anything, I will show you guys. So again, not sure if you're allowed to, but if you guys are allowed to use online tools, I know some of the calculators actually can do this for you as well. So again, if you're allowed to use certain calculators, you might be allowed to use some of the online tools. So let me, so let's quickly check. So in here is the 4x plus y plus 3z is equal to 8. Then the minus 2x plus 4y plus z equal to 4. 3x plus 2y plus 4z equal to 9. Let's say compute and let's see if it works. Okay, so that looks like it. Let's just say that is 0. It doesn't look for Okay, where's your x equal to 1, y equal to 1, z equal to 1. So, and then easy for you if you need to add those three to also get to the sum of 3. Okay, so I have added that link into the chat. The guys that are watching the recording, wolframalpha.com. You can look at that. Again, hopefully some of you are allowed, or not some of you, you're allowed to do it. If not, then we have this longer process that you can follow as well. Okay. So let's look at the next question. The next question is derivatives. So they ask us to find the derivative of this function. Okay, so can you guys remember what? So let's do the first one. So derivative of that first one will be the 6 going in front. So it's 3 times 6 is 18. And then we will have x to the power of 5. Okay, so now you can see what, before we even go on, so let's check. Okay, there's that. Okay, x 5 divided, so that's wrong. So that is not the option. X5, okay, so not the option. Okay, so there, and none of the above is also not an option. Okay, so by just looking at the one so far, we eliminated 2 options. And then 4 goes to the front, x to the power of 3. Okay, again, not cancel out. There is the plus 4x to the power of 3. We know that 300 will disappear. So let's look at that one. So that is x to the power of a half. So let's do it. It's a half. And then it will become x a half minus 1. It's x minus a half. And so there's nothing like that there yet. But we can also write that is 1 over x to the power of, or square root. And then that component, if we add it here, we could have just set the 2 at the bottom. So there we have the 1 and 2 square root of x. Okay, so option 4 is the correct one. Again, I hope also it was maybe already in the mock exam, but that they are not focusing on the none of the above in your papers anymore, so that you nearly could have at this point nearly have stopped and saved some time, so that you can nearly go on. Okay, so let's look at the next question. Question 23. Determine the derivative of, okay, and it's way to the side, ln 3x to the power of 5. Okay, so shoo. Now this is going back to study unit, sure, 2 or 3, I think. So way back nearly to the start of when you guys started this course nearly. So let's look at this and what we can do here. And you can see the answers are quite different across the board as well. Okay, so what would you have done in this instance? It's a very easy way. Do we need to do 2 calculations in here? What do you think? Okay, so what I would have done, okay, let's just rewrite this a bit. Of x, I just want to nearly go back to a few principal rules nearly. So then if we took ln out of the equation nearly, no, let's do this. So I nearly want to skip now a stage in this. So oh, sorry, Carol. Yes.
I remember when we did it at first, it was always ln x will be, the derivative would be 1 over x. So I don't know if they if with that would that just be 1 over 3
Geez,
x to the power of 5?
so that's what I also thought originally. And then I'm like, okay, but then we also, if we look at, oh, what is that? The other rule that,
Power
so
rule.
I think it's the power rule, so that it's 15x, so that is on, sorry, so that I'm now, so that you have 15x to the power of 4 times the, like we now did, for 1 over. That is nearly where I want to go with this, and then we're sitting with 15x 4 over 3x to the power of 5, which gives us 5 over x, which gives us 5x minus 1, which is option 3. So that's what I would have done. So I would have, like you said, I would have done that first part, and then within that we still add that part to it. So that's the answer that I have on the memo as well. They don't say
Okay.
in the memo how you get there. They just said this is the answer. So that
So it's
is
basically the product rule,
it's
I
the
guess, because
it's the
there's LAN and
product.
there's 3x.
It's the product rule. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and the problem with this one is that there's also, but so it's definitely not one. The thing with one is if you say e to the power of 4 and you take the derivative, so it's definitely not the first one. The second one could have nearly said, but if I take that 5, it's just this component. And that's why nearly the second one is just this component. The fourth one is just this component. So again, if you did only one of the two, there is an answer for you as well. So again, just be careful. So it is, and you said it's the product the power rule, eh? Not the
So there is first the power rule for the 3x to the power 5, and then we have to integrate the product rule
okay.
as
So
well. Yeah.
I'm not. I normally go back to my list of rules when I look
Yeah.
at it. So it's not top of mind at all. It's just I can see that there's going to be something else that one needs to do here. So it's nearly both of them that you need to use. Um, yeah. So it might also be that one can say um, um, put u equal to 3x plus 5, and then something you will nearly get the same 1 over u will give you that. So that one can nearly also probably try.
Mm.
But this was for me a simpler way of trying to understand it myself as well. So okay, so phew, it's quite a difficult one, this one. So and again, how they would do it in the exam is there will be an easier one and there will be a difficult one. So it won't be all these types of derivatives. There will be easier ones also for you to need to do. So it's again, the problem is just if you nearly get something like this as question 1, where it nearly break all your nerves because sure, what does one do? So just be again, if you guys are getting a very difficult one at the beginning, nearly think about it as okay, but there's only 2 or 3 more of these in the paper. The rest is actually much simpler, so that one doesn't. And again, it's a bit different where it was again when it was paper and those kind of things, you can nearly have selected the easier ones. So yeah, so just don't be too scared when one sees one of this and think the whole paper is going to be like that. Okay, so let's see the next one. Okay, so here they tell us the firm's marginal cost is given by this equation, with X the number of units produced. If fixed cost amount to 900 and the product is sold for 20 Rand per unit, find the firm's product profit function. Okay, so profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Marginal cost, so to go from marginal cost to total cost, we need to integrate. Okay, so we first need to integrate this formula. So if we integrate it, that is a 2, so it will become x3 over 3. Then minus, so it will become, let's just put it x2, and then we will divide by 2, so it will be 42 divided by 2, so it will be 21. You can already see some of that in there. And then plus 200 q, so that will be our total cost function. Just want to, again, marginal cost. If we integrate that, we get to total cost. Okay, so that is our total cost. What they tell us, so we would normally say, remember we would have said plus C. In this instance, they tell us that C is 900. Okay, so we need to add that 900 into the formula for C. And then they tell us 20 Rand per unit will be our total revenue. So we will get that our profit is 20Q minus 1 over 3Q to the third, plus, because now a minus times a minus becomes a plus, plus 21Q to the power of 2 minus 200Q. So again, that Q and that one we will need to still put together, minus 900. And then if we put those two together, it will be minus a third Q to the power of 3 plus 21Q to the power of 2 minus 180Q minus 900. Okay, and that will be option 1. So if you did not sub or work with a 20Q, you would have gotten the 200. So that would have been when one that you, and if you didn't work with added the 900, this one could have been also one that you could have selected, but wrong. And then that one is just straight if we only looked at total cost and didn't take into account total revenue. Option 4 would have been that. Okay, so this was a bit quite different. They gave you a marginal cost function. You needed to integrate that to get to your total cost function. But remember, when we integrate, we will always add that C for the constant. In this instance, they told us that constant is for 900 because that's the fixed cost. It doesn't matter how big Q becomes. So that is nearly why it's a constant, because it's not influenced by Q. So we need to remember to add that to the formula. And then nearly again back to study unit 2 and 3. Profit is basically looking at total revenue minus total cost. Okay, so yeah, I think important in this one was nearly to remember how to work back from marginal cost to total cost, and then definitely the inclusion of a fixed cost. Okay, so now the next one that they ask us is find the values of x for which this function has a maximum or a minimum value. Okay, so first, to get to the minimum or maximum, we need to integrate this formula. So we need to integrate y. So that will become minus 3x to the power of 2 plus 18x minus 24. And then we can look at this and say, okay, there might be an easy way to factorize. So else we need to take that whole roots thing again to say x is equal to b plus minus. So I nearly want to avoid that first. So let's just see if there isn't anything nice that one can take out of this. So minus 3, so we're left with x squared. If I take out minus 3 here, we're left with 6x. If we take out minus 3 here, we're left with plus 8. Okay, and that one we can definitely factorize. So that will be 4 times 2. Both of them will be negative. So x will be equal to 4, or x will be equal to 2. x4, x2. Okay, so there we have option 2s. But first, first we needed to integrate and differentiate so that we can work out the maximum or minimum, and then we basically factorize that formula so that we can get the two x values. Okay. You can check if you want to use that roots one, the b plus minus. I think you will get the same answers, but it is just taking normally a bit longer, but you will get the same answers. Okay, next one. Now they ask us to basically integrate this function. Okay, weird looking function. Why they do it like this? So we nearly know that we need to put the x. So let's. This is weird, but let's see x1. So you divide by 1 plus 2x2 divided by 2 plus, sorry, or divided by 4 plus c. Does that look right? So 2x plus x to the power of 2 plus x 4 over 4 plus c. Sure. 2x, x to the power of 2, that one. Okay, so option 4. Okay, strange one. I haven't seen something like this in some time, so just a strange way to ask it. Okay. Boy, okay. Been a bit different one. Okay, so integral ln x over x. Okay, so let me get my, where's my math solver? Let's see if I can take a picture of it. So that is another thing that you can check out is the math solver formula or sorry app. So it says this answer is 0.5. So let me just get to it. Sorry, I just quickly. So how would you guys have solved this if this was the one that you needed to do? I'm gonna check if there's an integrator formula as well. Integral calculator. So let's quickly get that for you as well. So that because again, some of the calculators you can actually just put this into it and it will just work. So integral of, so let's say ln x divided by okay, so again just showing it. Yeah, so I think that is ln x over x. Okay, so the answer is that. So we can just look at the steps. Okay, so again, I thought that is what we will probably needed to do. So we would have needed to substitute u with, or ln x with u, and then again, if you look at that, it would have been un plus 1 At the bottom, also the n+1, which I'm gonna do this. Let's just print screen this and add it for you. Then you have the steps, but again, I'll also quickly put in okay, so that you have it, but I will also quickly put in that link that you can also just nearly go and play with it. Also, what I like about the online calculators is so that if you are busy working out as you're now practicing still for Saturday, use the tools to check if you are doing it correctly, if something is going wrong or not. Okay, so that was question 27. Okay, let's go to question 28. I think this is going to be again a bit of a formula question involved here, and some other that we just need to remember how we do certain things. So the present rate at which heating oil in thousands of liters is consumed annually by a large department store is given by this equation, where T is years. Find the amount of oil consumed as a function of T. Okay, so what we will need to do is basically rewrite that. So let's look at the amount of oil consumed. So let's just look at this is what we will need to do. dt. Okay, so again, if we integrate that, and now you guys must also again, please just check that I follow sorry, that was E, follow the rules correctly. So let me just check. Yeah, because that will become bigger, so it's not 15. Okay, so what's the difference? Okay, I'm now, it seems like, okay, this is weird. To check 15,000. Okay, so I think this is just, here is a mistake in how they've written it. That it should be underneath that. It shouldn't just be underneath that. So if that now is how they wanted it to, that you say none of the above, but that is just strange. So that is definitely the answer, but it might now have been that they did that purposefully that in this exam you needed to say none of the above, but that is nearly, I would have gone with that and just because that is how it should be. So I'm like, that's why I don't like the none of the above kind of, because one doesn't know if they purposefully made a mistake or if it was just a printing error. So that should be your answer. Okay. Yeah, so again, hopefully, and please tell me, in your assignments and your mock exam, was it was it was there any questions that there was a answer added, none of the above, or was it already taken out?
They took them out because when I
Okay.
solutions all had answers. There wasn't.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, yeah, because again, this is not great like this one, because I would have probably gone with 3 in any case. And if they now wanted to confuse you with that and wanted you to say none of the above, that is not really, and we know there is sometimes a few typing errors in these papers. So okay, second last one. So an intensive pig fattening unit is adding pollutants to a river at the rate of square root of t, where t is the number of months per which the unit has been in operation. Calculate the volume of pollutants in the river during the first 4 months. Okay, so basically what they want us is to do this. Okay, so we first need to get what the integral is. So let's just do that first. So it would have been that plus 1. So t3 over 2 divided by 3 over 2. Is that right? Sure. It feels weird. When t is 4. Yeah, please just check if you agree with this. 4 to the power of 1.5 divided by 1.5. Okay, so I get 5.33. And then, so luckily there is not 5.33 here, because we need to multiply it by 100, because they say hundreds of liter times 100 is 533 liters. Phew, I hate this one. And I previously said they will not have something like this where they give you, okay, so I would have had the 533 liters. Yeah. Again, so when we should have still said minus 0, but 0 to that power will be 0, so we will actually just minus by 0. So the lower one does not feature, because the 0 will just fall away. If it was 1, or if it was from 1 to 4, then we needed to put in 1, work that out, divided by 3/2, and then we first would have subtracted that by 1, or by that answer of 1, so that we can get the final answer. But because we're subtracting the one with 0, 0, if we put that into t, will be equal to 0. Okay. I don't like this where there's so a lot of these answers close to one another. Again, because it could be that I want to say that you want a full liter, then I would have probably rounded it up to have a full liter. But let's for now stick to this and what they have given us. Okay, and then the last one, again, a bit strange, because now they're asking us a consumer surplus, but they don't give us anything except if a consumer surplus of a product is 562 when one product is demanded, what does this value mean? Okay, so consumers are willing to pay 562 Rand more for a product than what they're actually paying. Consumers pay 562 Rand more for a product that they should. Consumers are willing to pay 562 less. Consumers are not willing to pay. Okay, so what consumer surplus is saying is that consumers are willing to pay more. And then in this instance, consumers are willing to pay 562 Rand more per product demanded. Okay. Very technical, this one. I don't know if there was this explanation even in the study guide, so very technical. But again, just if something like this happens, it might also be good just to check, and I don't know it off by heart at all, but what producer surplus also means, because it might be that they can ask that in a format like this as well. So just check again what the definition of producer surplus is. That one just have a understanding of that and how that could be integrated into a question. Okay, then that is it. The prep for your exam on Saturday. Are you guys? Is it one session for everybody, or is it different time slots during the day? How does the exam work on Saturday?
I think it's one slot for everyone. I
Okay.
don't see any. Yeah.
And is it an early slot nearly?
Yes, it's in the morning.
Okay.
8. Yeah.
Okay. Good
8
luck.
to 10.
Yes. So
Thank you.
I will mute the group, just say from 8 to 11 or something like that. And
Yeah.
then you guys can afterwards tell me how it was as well. Okay.
Okay.
Good luck.
All right.
And please still use the chat if somebody wants to ask questions. There is other students on it as well, so please use it, and because there might always be that one question that you still need to sort out before you write. Okay. Great, everyone. Good luck with the exams, and then when we will get a check-in after you've written on Saturday. Cheers, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.